we're talking about a sit-up, you want to make sure you're in proper position before the sit-up begins. So the muscles that we work for the sit-up are the rectus abdominis, the internal and external obliques, the lats, which are part of the back, and some parts of the glutes and inner thighs. So when we first talk about the sit-up, let's first talk about the upper body. So we have 3 hand positions. One could be crossing the chest. She can put them behind her head, or she can take them up high over her head for more of a challenge. So let's go ahead and start with the arms crossed. Her feet should stay connected to the ground, so at least her heel's connected to the ground. The whole foot does not need to be on the ground. She's going to want to tuck her abs in and tuck her tailbone slightly and lower slowly down to the ground. So she's going to lower down, and then she's going to peel her back up off the ground, keeping the tuck in the tailbone, squeezing the abs into the chest. And take it back down, belly button to the spine, all the way down, and pulling the belly button in towards the spine and coming all the way back up. Someone that may have a lower back injury or very, very tight hip flexors, this position could be very hard for them. So a modification for this could be a crunch. So if Sandra goes all the way down to the ground, her feet are still going to stay in the same position, heels are going to stay in the ground. She's going to just lift and lower, bringing just the shoulder blades off the ground and not doing the full range of motion. Still pulling the abdominals in towards the spine and concentrating on really focusing all of the movement in that core part of her body instead of coming all the way up and potentially straining that lower back area. When we talk about cueing for our campers from an instructor standpoint, there are 3 basic cues that we want to make sure that we're doing for our campers. One would be the hand position. So letting campers know that the hand position, this would be the easy, the next hand position would make this moderately harder, and the top hand position would make this much more difficult. It all depends on the lever. So if we take Sandra all the way down into her low position, coming all the way down, if she takes her hands behind her head, this modification would make it much more difficult to come all the way up and get that full range of motion. And then if she extends the arms all the way out and comes up, that's going to make it even harder for her. So when we talk about cueing, the first thing is that we keep the arms in the proper position. The second cue we want to make sure of is that the heels and the feet always stay in contact with the ground. If the feet are coming off the ground, we're going to be using more hip flexor than we are going to be using abs. So if Sandra was to do this incorrectly, she would go down, and then her feet may come up off the ground and try to get up, which means she's using more of the front part of her leg than she is focusing her energy into her abdominals. And because this is an abdominal movement, we want to make sure that her abs are actually doing the work. The last cue would be the breathing. So when she goes down, she wants to take an inhale, and as she comes up, she's going to want to exhale. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. You don't always have to inhale and exhale on cue. The main thing is that they're not holding their breath when they're coming up. Because when they hold their breath when they're coming up, they're not going to be able to flatten the abs. And most people want their abs to be flatter and not poochier. So really exhaling on the way up and pulling the navel back into the spine is going to be an excellent cue for your campers, because it's really going to have them help them to push those abdominals down instead of pooching them out in the front. When we talk about when to do abdominals in a workout, you're going to want to do your abdominals closer to the end of the workout, when you're cooled down, when you have time to really focus, when the heart rate is lowered. You're going to want to do them in sets of 10 and alternate your ab exercises, so you're not doing all sit-ups. You may do some internal and external obliques so that you're constantly challenging the abdominals. Our abdominals work every day, all day, to keep our spine up and in alignment, so we really need to challenge them with range of motion at any chance we can get. So that's the sit-up.